You are listening to the REI Mastermind Podcast. Join JD as he chats with industry-leading real estate experts and professionals. We learn from their experience and uncover the strategies to their success that we can implement into our own businesses, and we can drive immediate results today. They share their experience and wisdom as we build a foundation to our own success. This is the REI Mastermind Network.
Well, we have kind of a treat here today. We have two guests on, Bryan Driscoll and Chad Keller of Motivated Leads, and you can find their website at now I screwed it up for you guys already, motivated-leads.com. Again, it's motivated. Don't forget that dash in there, leads.com. And I really appreciate your time. We're going to spend the next 30 minutes or so talking about lead generation. And like I warned you to, I have a lot of newer to real estate investing listeners. So we're going to start things off and talk about some low-hanging fruit and what some people can do today to make a significant difference to their lead generation, and then move into what you do for other real estate investors and some of those results. And I really appreciate both of your time here today.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, I appreciate you as well.
So let's start things off. Like I got to first off start things off by asking, how did you both get into lead generation for real estate investors?
Okay, so yeah, Chad and I both have a little bit of a different background. Me, I've been doing digital marketing more on the SEO side since the early 2000s, and I got into real estate investing about 7 years ago. So I was dealing with more like e-commerce or bigger types of companies doing their SEO and marketing. And then I bought my first property off of a guy on Craigslist. He was a wholesaler. And I'm like, whoa, okay. I saw on the HUD at the end, I'm like, wow, I just paid you $10,000 to find that deal. So and then we started marketing, and I'm like, you know what, we should do marketing for ourselves for real estate. Talked with Chad. I'm like, hey, you want to hook up? We'll do some deals. We started marketing and did really well. So then we started offering it to other investors just because we saw a need for it in the space.
Sure.
Yeah. I kind of begged Bryan at an agency too. And I focused on e-commerce and lead generation for huge companies buying like thousands and thousands of leads a month, all driven from like Facebook, Google paid advertising. I used to beg Bryan to always see these deals he was getting. I was like, come on, let me, I don't understand the stock market too much, but I understand what you're doing over here on real estate. I was like, let me get in on this. Let me figure this out. So after I begged him enough, he let me get into the single family buys with him, and off we were to the races.
Well, let's start off with then, since you started generating leads for yourself, where did you start?
Go ahead, Chad.
Yeah. So most of the background for me, for instance, is Facebook and Google marketing. So using paid advertising really drive a lot of these leads. Which can be costly, but can be very great return on your money. And that's what we do for most people. But Bryan, I'm sure when he first got started, like Craigslist and wherever else, Bryan.
Yeah. Well, I started getting started. I wasn't even doing the marketing. I was just trying to find the houses. And then then I'm like, okay, well, let's start doing this. So currently right now, like we started doing Facebook ads and then also SEO and a little bit of Google pay-per-click. So we kind of like a hybrid approach. And for anyone who doesn't know, so SEO is ranking in the free section of Google. Mm-hmm. Google pay-per-click is paying to be at the top of Google. And then Facebook advertising is paying to be in people's Facebook feeds. The reason we're finding decent success there is because say someone comes to your website through SEO and doesn't fill out a form, we can retarget them, which means show ads to people that have been on your website in the future also, and try to, so they all kind of work together to get the proper people that want to sell their house connected with us.
Right.
I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, it does. And, we can go in the weeds there just a little bit, because that retargeting is a way for a person to keep their spending under control too.
100%. Yeah. And retargeting is very important. Say someone's doing Google pay-per-click. The market's insane right now. You might spend $20 for one person to click into your website. Well, say you have to get 10 people to get one lead. If you have a good conversion, 9 people came to your website, they didn't convert. You can retarget them very cost effectively on Facebook and try to recoup some of those, because they've already shown that they want to sell their house. They might not be ready to fill out a form or call you yet, but you can stay in front of them in Facebook, just like products do. Like you go to Amazon, they're following you around on Facebook. So you can do that very cost effectively.
Right. Yeah. We have to remember too, is that with marketing, what do they say now? It takes 7 to even upwards of 10 contacts before somebody takes action. That retargeting is really important, and to get in front of them. It's part of that know, like, and trust.
100%.
Yeah, once people, and I'm sure you'll realize this, once you click on something on Facebook, you'll constantly see that in your feed forever. Nowadays, even if you talk about something to somebody in the room, somehow you're seeing it on your feed. I don't know how that.
Let's just remind everybody how creepy that is. But yeah.
But yeah, so it'll live in your. Basically, they click on one of our ads to possibly sell their house for cash or sell their house as is with no repairs needed. They're going to see us forever. Until they start to block that ad or do something. But most people don't. And you'll see that it does take people 5, 10, 15 times. You can see that by the frequency that it reaches people to really push through. So maybe they're not ready at this time, but you're constantly there as a reminder for when they are ready.
Right. This is one of those things that seems to be a little daunting for some people, especially if they're not technically inclined. If you frankly go into the Facebook Ad Center or the Google Ad Center, there's a lot of bells and whistles. It can be a little overwhelming. Like if somebody was looking to do something like this, even on a small scale for the first time, what would you advise them to do?
I'll start with that. First thing you're going to need to do, we have to have a website. I would recommend pushing traffic through a website, but first thing you're going to want to do, there's something called a Facebook pixel. So you're going to log into your Facebook Business Manager and you're going to see something, event tracking. You need to grab a pixel. It's a code you put on your website. And that is what allows Facebook to retarget people or to create those audiences, things like that. So that's the first tip I would have. And I'll let Chad elaborate on like what else would recommend. But that's the number one thing you need to do that I see people making mistakes on.
Yeah. I mean, even if you don't want to get super technical with it and you're like, hey, this is over my head, even just going on the Facebook and boosting a post, and but it would have to be like a post of you or your face or something, or testimonial, something like that. You have to be comfortable doing that. Just getting your awareness out there in the local area. And you might not, when you boost a post, you can't see like direct returns on that. Where the stuff that we do when we install pixels and we go very technical on things, like we can say, hey, this ad produced that lead, which then turned into a deal, which your acquisition cost was then X. Boosting a post won't do that for you, but it will build your awareness. And you see the guys that, hey, I only target this 15-mile radius in this city. And that's all I want to, they'll just blanket it with boosted posts. Maybe just getting video views, awareness out there. People just know who they are. They're that person to call when somebody's ready to sell a house, or somebody's sharing that post to one of their friends who they're thinking about selling. So that's one way to do it on a very simplistic way to do it. But if you want to get more technical and have the direct ROI associated with that, then you need to get into the pixels and the technical side of things.
Yeah. It's also interesting when you look at, Facebook and Google for that matter, when you install these pixels, you can even start to generate like-minded audiences and stuff. Facebook and Google, they're both way smarter than any of us, and how they can target like-minded individuals is kind of crazy.
Yeah, what's cool about it is that also you can see kind of like demographic and what platforms they're converting on. So you can see like, okay, most of my ads, 25-year-old to 35-year-old people are clicking on my ads, but my budget is being spent on 65 plus, or in this market, actually, it's probably more so like 45 plus is who's clicking these ads, but my budget's being spent 18 to 25-year-olds. And you can alter that here and there. But you can also see, hey, are they converting from an iPhone, from an Android phone? Is it on the mobile feed? Is it on desktop feed? You can get all of this information to know exactly where your best audience is to best spend your money. So it gives you a lot of data back on everything.
That's kind of an interesting question that you just sprung up there, Chad, is the concept then that, frankly, a lot of the houses that I acquire are typically an older set of individuals that more times than not, they still have a landline phone, let alone a smartphone or something. Have you found that that gap is closing regarding reaching some of these older people?
So you typically see it. Just think about like when we're going to do these deals, who we're buying most of the houses from. Here and there, we'll get maybe a son that was left a house from one of his parents passing away or of old age or whatever it may be. So they might be younger. But even think about it from the aspect, like we buy from hoarders every once in a while. Hoarders, they don't really go outside. We bought a few houses from hoarders and they don't go outside. They're sitting on their phone. They're very introverted. Typically they had to have enough money credit in their life to buy that home. So what are they, 35 plus, something like that? You really got to think into your demographic themselves. And most people that own a home, they're not under 25. I mean, some people under 30 are just buying their first home. They're usually not defaulting or anything at this point. To really hit those life events, it's typically 35 plus. And yeah, you'll see it across the board. I mean, it's still up and down, but I don't know. Bryan has a lot of insight to this too. What do you think from a demographic standpoint?
Yeah. So Jack, so you're asking, are we seeing like the different ages on different platforms or?
Mm-hmm. Right.
So you look at Facebook. Facebook is not really the cool platform anymore. So Facebook.
Don't say that.
Yeah, it's kind of where the older people, like I'm on there sometimes. Like my mom's even on there. A lot of grandparents are on there looking at their grandkids, stuff like that. Or a lot of people are using Facebook if they live out of the city, connecting with their families. So it's an older demographic, which if you look at like most of the people you're buying properties from, and same with us, is the older demographic. So our audience isn't really sitting on TikTok, like with all the young kids. So for now, Facebook and Google pay-per-click in Google work really well. So, and even Bing. Bing has a really older demographic also. So those work for now.
I would guess that's because they don't typically change their search engine in the browser. They're getting a computer and just let it go. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Or they just been in there since MSN back in the day.
Sure.
So yeah, and it'll change. Like everything will evolve. But for now, those are the platforms we're seeing that the our audience is playing on. And you know how fast everything changes, but
yeah, no, that's a very valid point. So, with that being said, a lot of people, like I said, these platforms can be pretty daunting. I mean, you go in there and frankly, I even get lost. And the Facebook boost a post, that's relatively easy. You can set a budget and, they'll just run it until it spins it up. Right. But when it comes to this, you can even lose track or it can get away from you if you're not careful. So when you hire a company such as yours to do this type of work, what are some of the questions that a person should ask to make sure it's a good fit for real estate investing?
I would say number one, find out if the agency is a general agency or if they specialize in real estate. Because I think that's very big, especially if you're an investor. There's a big difference on someone that wants to sell their house, a lead that wants to sell their house, versus a lead that wants to sell their house for cash or sell it fast. So that's one thing I would definitely make sure when you're dealing with an agency, just because they might try to push ads, getting home valuations, which will get you a lot of leads, but it might not turn into a return for you.
I'm gonna really agree with you on that one, Bryan. I actually tried this once. A local agency, through a networking group I was a part of. It sounded great, to do the ads, the campaigns for me. But unfortunately, they were a large company that just kind of dumped me in the same bucket as all of the realtors instead of real estate investors. And it was just a lot of money spent with no results.
Yeah. And that's tough too, because we see that. And it's not the marketing company's fault sometimes either, just because most people don't know there's different areas of real estate. Most people think, hey, you want to sell your house? You want to sell your house. But there's a huge difference in this space. If you're an investor, we're looking for distressed off-market properties versus people looking to sell for top dollar, nice houses that go on the MLS. So that's one of the main things I would have people find out. How much experience do you have dealing with real estate investor marketing?
Sure. So what does your company encompass? I think we got a kind of a sense of it here now. You mentioned Facebook ads, Google ads. Are there other platforms that you also manage for an individual?
Yeah. So basically what we offer, we do it's pretty much turnkey marketing for people. So investors will come to us. A lot of times they don't even have websites. We're not a website design company. We don't do design for people, but we can help set up websites for you. We can help set up logos, design ads, do the ad text, create Google pay-per-click campaigns, write content for SEO, optimize websites. So we're pretty much a good fit for seasoned investors that want help doing the marketing and they don't really want to do anything. They're too busy or they don't want to learn it. And we write all the content, do everything for them. So we do Facebook, Google pay-per-click, and SEO.
So when you talk about search engine optimization and you talk about writing this content, I've also learned that it has to be something that's kind of consistent and persistent, something that you're constantly churning out on a regular basis. Is that something you help with as well? Or how much involvement do you have to have of the investor?
Yeah, we do it all. So all we do, we write content, we send it, you guys approve it, and then we post it. So, and there's different content. It is ongoing. You have your on-page content, which is content that goes on your website. Then you have off-page content. You use that to build links, which give your websites authority. So, but yeah, we handle. It's actually easier without investors hands-on on the content writing side because we kind of have it down to a system. Versus some guys want to, hey, can we help you write the content? It just slows things down.
Yeah, no, I can understand that. Do you find then that you, since you're managing so many real estate investors, are you repurposing a lot of this content, or is it kind of specialized per?
No, everything's
market?
unique. It has to be unique on SEO. It's really tedious, and so we have to have a lot of writers for it. But yeah, all content has to be unique because, and here's one thing for guys starting out too. If you're starting out, one thing you can do is say you go with one of the template websites. Like there's a couple of them out there that you can just stick up a website for like $50 a month and it comes pre-populated with content. Go and take that content and completely rewrite it. You can say the same thing, but put it in your own words. That'll give you a step above the competition. Even just having unique content, even if you don't know how to optimize it, make sure it's not duplicate content.
Because Google is smart enough to know when it's duplicate content.
Yeah. And duplicate content, for people that don't know, is say you have two different websites with the same words in the same order. If you think about it from a search engine standpoint or a bot, if they see two websites with the same words in the same order, how can they determine which one's more relevant? So it kind of confuses them, and then you kind of get penalized there. So that's why it's always important to have everything unique. Don't take content from other people's websites because that could hurt their website and your website also. But yeah, just rewrite the content in your own words. It's not tough, it just takes a little bit of time.
Sure. So when you've set up all your marketing for your Google ads, Facebook ads, and you're driving them to a website, what do you recommend there as a landing page? Like what should be the first thing that would greet that visitor?
You want to run that, Chad?
Yeah. So you should always have, basically we like to put a form above the fold. So when I say above the fold, I mean, when they come to it from a mobile device or the desktop, the first thing they see is, hey, we'd love to offer you a cash offer for your home. Please fill out this form. And because most people don't scroll the whole website, they want information as quick as possible. Mm-hmm. And if you get that message clearly across as quick as possible, then you have a better chance at converting them. So that's what we always like to see up there. And then as you scroll down, just more credibility, telling them about who you are, what you do. If you have testimonials, it's always good to put client testimonials on there, any type of video of yourself, just talking directly to them. Again, just to build that trust and credibility. A lot of people are going through distress situations, that especially the people that we're targeting. So they have to be comfortable with you. They don't typically like to see like a big company coming in and just buying their house when they're already in this emotional situation. So the more and more you can open up to them, show them that you've done this throughout that website, it's going to be very useful. But again, the main goal is always to be optimized for lead conversion. So when they come to your website to push them through, so usually a form at the top, buttons throughout the website, bottom of the website, if they get there, okay, get your cash offer now, click there, fill out another form. So the more credibility that you can build and optimize your conversions, the better off you're going to be.
So just to remind everybody, if you'd like more information and see what these fellas are doing, head over to motivated-leads.com, and I'll make sure to have that link in the show notes. But so Chad, when somebody comes to the website, remind everybody, how long do you have their attention for?
I mean, nowadays it's like, what are they saying? They're saying anywhere from 3 to 7 seconds if you're lucky.
Insane.
So
yeah.
So that copy, everything up there has to be super quick, right to the point. You can't confuse them one bit. Just keep it simple.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I've noticed lately is that you go to some websites and it just becomes this huge diatribe of just something that they've regurgitated in before you get anywhere. Like I even find that my attention is so much shorter. I want to get to the point.
Yeah,
Right.
especially if a website doesn't load or anything, and I'm just Xing out of it, or if it's even taking more than 5 seconds to load, I'm like, I don't even care about it anymore. I'm on to the next thing.
Right. Were you going to say something?
No, I was actually going to touch on load speed too, but Chad hit it. Yeah, like it's so important your website loads, especially on mobile, loads quickly, because if your website's just spinning, people just page back and they're out of there.
Yeah, there's a free, if you go to Google and just type in page speed test, there's a free test. You can just type in your URL and get a score back on.
And sometimes that has to do with that, with the hosting, right? Some people go with the shared hosting provider. You're all on the same virtual machine, essentially. Now I'm getting a little nerdy, but when you're competing against with all of those resources, there's something to be said to you get what you pay for when it comes to hosting.
Yeah, shared hosting, and then depending on which hosting company, then also even on one thing too, make your image size small. Like a lot of times people will take an image that fills your whole monitor and put it on your screen in like an inch. So you have that big image. It doesn't need to be that big on your computer because the file size is large. Right. So shrink it down whenever you put it on your website, stuff like that too.
How important is it to tag those images and provide that additional information regarding the images that are loading too?
It's fairly important on the SEO side. So you can do the image alt tags. And here's what I normally will do is whenever we're uploading images, you name so I'll even take a step back. We're doing SEO on a page. We'll pick specific keywords that we want to rank for that page, whatever is relevant. We'll pick a target and secondary keyword. And then normally what we'll do is when we're uploading the images, we want to pick a relevant name like sellmyhousefast.jpg or whatever, if that's on the Sell My House Fast page. And then we would have an image alt tag also. So you have the image name. We want to name that a keyword, not just IMG 101 or whatever it is. And then the alt tag, we want to have something relevant as well. You have to be careful with the alt tags though. Make sure that they're relevant and not trying to trick the search engine, because technically those are for disabled. So if they can't see the screen, stuff like that. So you want to still make sure you're describing it, not trying to be misleading, but they do help with SEO having words in there versus just blank or gibberish.
Sure. Okay. Well, this has been it seems like I've kind of taken you down rabbit holes here today. Let's rein it back in again. So let's take the last few minutes to chat about that concept again of if somebody was getting into this and trying this piece. Most of the real estate investors were doing yellow letters and bandit signs, some of the old school stuff. If they were looking to do this type of thing and dip their toes into the pixel and using Facebook ads and Google ads, is there a strategy that they probably you've found that people overlook?
Not necessarily overlook. So I see what people overcomplicate it. Mm-hmm. Is what I see. So one tip I could give is be extremely direct. Same like Chad was talking about in your landing page, on your ads and your ad text. Be direct. We buy houses. Sell your house fast. We're cash home buyers. Things like that. Let people know that you're an investor. Don't try to trick them. Leads, like the amount of leads and the cost per lead. A lot of guys want to just get a lot of leads for cheap. That's not the goal. You need to get the people that want to sell their house to contact you. So just be extremely direct with the messaging and consistent. Like if you've done yellow letters or any of that kind of stuff, it's consistency. You're not just sending one batch of letters and you're good. Normally, like I know when we used to do yellow letters, I'd send a batch now, 90 days later, I'd remail those people and then remail them again in 90. Mm-hmm. Same thing on Facebook and Google and all that stuff. You want to have these people and you want to be consistently doing this month over month because it's the same thing. People are looking now, but they might not be ready to pull the trigger for 2 months.
Right. Yeah. And I've definitely learned that even with my mailings now, I make sure to include my URL. So at least triggers the Facebook pixel and the Google pixel. So I can use those lines of communication to retarget.
Exactly. Yeah. Because you send them a letter, they go to your website. Now you get them on Facebook and you don't have to send them pay postage anymore.
Right. So
Yeah,
it's all about getting them to the site. What were you going to say?
We've even seen leads come in from like September and close in January. So It's just all about getting people through and letting them know who you are. They'll eventually, if they're ready to sell, they'll come back to you. So you can't look at this. It's not like you put online marketing on and you have a magic switch that you're going to get leads and deals to the table. It's not how it works. It's just a game of consistency, staying out there, and just know that, hey, in the end, like we had a client that spent I was on the phone with him, spent like $12,000 with us over the course of 4 months. And he was right around break even, and then spoke with him like 3 months later. And I think he was at like $47,000 on that $12,000, like from wholesale fees and everything that he was doing. So He's like, it just took time for everything to catch up. And as we say, bake, but it all caught up.
Sure. No, that makes a lot of sense. It's I can't tell you how many times now, I've been doing this for a number of years, and it still surprises me when I get a phone call from somebody who received a postcard from me a year ago, and they had saved that postcard and held on to it for that long. That's always amazing that some people do that.
It's funny you bring that up. I haven't sent postcard for probably 3 years, and we got a call last week.
Yeah.
They just held on to it.
It happens.
Yeah.
So, well, I really appreciate your two's time here today. But before I let you go, I want to make sure, again, everybody has your contact information. So head over to motivated-leads.com. But one last question. Is there a question you wished I would have asked you today?
You pretty much covered everything. Everything pretty good on there.
Yeah, I don't think you really missed anything. It's pretty cut and dry what we do. It's a done for you marketing solution. And we only work with real estate investors. So.
And I can't stress that enough, how important that is. And that's probably me speaking from this experience. I really had kind of a poor experience with this, using a company that had no experience with real estate investors, and being thrown into a pile of real estate realtors was just not a good experience, and a lot of wasted time and money. In the end, it was kind of frustrating because I found that I was the one helping them build the marketing list. The key phrases and the negative key phrases and everything else. It was kind of frustrating.
Yeah. And I hear you there.
It's really given us an edge here. So definitely.
Well, thanks guys. Again, motivated-leads.com. And you both are welcome back anytime. And thanks again. We'll talk to you soon.
Hey, thanks for having us.
This has been the REI Mastermind Network. You can already tell that we've made some changes, and a few more are on the way. If you are interested in what we have planned, head over to patreon.com/REI Mastermind and support the show today. Financial contributions are always appreciated, along with a like, share, and review. It really helps us grow and reach more people with this valuable information. See you next time, and tell a friend.